All right, last lesson for PACE 1122, the second in the Algebra 2 series. And it's explained on page 27. There's some examples there. It does remind you that you have done some graphing of inequalities back in PACE 1121. So hopefully you just did that recently enough that that's somewhat familiar. But they go one step further with these types. So let's talk about what's new in graphing these inequalities. Well, first of all, I notice I have an x on both sides of the equation. So I always like to get the x on the left. So we'll subtract 2x. So now I have 3 minus 5x is greater than 23. Subtract 3 from both sides. So negative 5x is greater than 20. Now I'm solving for x, just like an equation. But because this is an inequality, there's a little rule that we need to remember, and that is if I have to multiply or divide by a negative number in order to isolate x, then I have to take the inequality sign and switch the direction. Okay? So this one, I'm actually going to have to divide both sides by negative 5. I'm going to pop over here now. So I do get x, and this gives me negative 4. Okay? But because I had to divide by negative, instead of this being greater than, now it becomes less than. Okay, and then when you graph that on the line, you remember you put the open circle, since it's not or equal to, it's just less than, and put that over the negative 4, draw some other things in there, okay? This one is similar. This one has the x stuck on the right. Let's talk about that. We always want the x to be on the left before we graph it. So we can remember the rule that says change sides, change signs. So if I just pop it over to the left, it'd become positive 5x. Okay? Or we could think of adding 5x to both sides, and most algebra students can easily see that. So I'm going to write 5x plus 32 is greater than 7. Okay? The key is to get the 5x over here on this side. Now you can subtract 32 from both sides and then divide by the 5. In this case, there's no negative in front of the x, so we can leave the inequality pointing to the right, okay? Greater than, x is greater than. And then you can easily graph that one. Let's talk about this one. This one we have a less than or equal to sign. We'll talk about that in just a minute. I want to get the x over here on this side, so I'm going to subtract 6x. Now, I like to, if possible, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so I'm going to add 12 to both sides, okay? That way I've gotten rid of the 12 here, I've gotten rid of the 6x on this side. So now this gives me negative 12x, less than or equal to, look what happens. Negative 12 plus 12 is 0. Sometimes that happens, we get a 0. Now, we are going to multiply, or rather divide, by a negative 12. Now, we can divide 0 by something. Remember, you can't divide by 0, because that's impossible, but we can have 0 divided by a number. So in this case, I get x. 0 divided by anything is going to be 0. But it's very important here now, I'm going to change the direction of the inequality. I still keep the or greater than, or equal to. That doesn't disappear. It's just the direction of the inequality flips. Now the last step is then to graph this on a number line. And because it's greater than or equal to, we need to fill in the bubble over the 0, and then the arrow is pointing in the same direction that the inequality is pointing, which is kind of cool, okay? You have come to the end of the second PACE. I hope you do well. Wrapping it up here, have a little bit of review, and then self-test, PACE test, and we'll get back here with the third PACE in, well, whenever you're ready for it. We'll be here waiting for you.